Mojang has answered questions about all of the mob vote and the boycotting of the mob vote. And by Mojang, I mean one staff member has decided to put his takes out and explain why Mojang can't add all three, why do mob votes, and how modders can do it easier than Mojang, how everyone sees it. So I'm just going to read this out so that everyone is aware of this because not a lot of people have seen this. It's not really a very known, seeable thing. So I'm going to just let everyone know. So I'm going to read it out, and that's all that's going to happen. I'm going to put it on the screen as well as I read it out because I know that sometimes I'm a little bit illiterate and I don't read things very well. So, why have mob votes to begin with? When I first joined Mojang back in 2020, this question was raised before Minecraft Live, and the answer I heard was quite wonderful. I can't quote it exactly, but the gist was, it is a way for us to have all Minecraft players have a say in the game's development, not just for players who we interact with every day in the community. I really like that. It plays into my discovery about the glow squid being a favourite amongst the Minecraft community. We don't have much visibility over Minecraft communities that occur in a school playground, and I definitely believe the mob votes give us more than it does take us away. For one, it's an anticipated part of Minecraft Live itself and thus draws a big crowd. I do agree with this. I've said the same thing myself. It is a way for players to be part of the game's development, which is why I say it shouldn't be boycotted in the first place. Just that one thing in itself, the fact that Mojang care of the game's community. So why not add all three mobs? I was surprised by this idea being repeated in the community because I had thought from my privileged position that the answer could be seen as obvious. I see it as obvious personally. Ignoring the fact of this removes the mob vote itself, which would be a shame. Adding all three mobs is in effect adding none of the mobs, because they'd be folded into regular update features and disappear from the community. It would probably no longer even be a mob, it would just be another slot for another feature, be it a block, biome, item, mob, whatever, and given that time isn't infinite. The three mobs would be cut back down to one mob anyway. If we have the bandwidth to add all three mobs, that bandwidth is already being used for other parts of the update. But seeing the other two mobs lose makes me seem upset. I did see an interesting comment on this, where a player was specifically upset because we have shown them mobs that they want in the game, but they won't be in the game. This was the elusive Mojang promised us XYZ sentiment that I had been looking for, finally found it in 2022. This was a player who sees any Minecraft content at all to be a promise, and the mob vote to them was a vote for which two promises will we break. Very interesting, and I'm not sure how to navigate that one. The first thing that came to my mind was, wow buddy, you'd hate to spend a day at Mojang. We discuss ideas constantly, just walking through the hallway whilst grabbing a coffee when trying to put out a fire so we accidentally cause them a microwave. During all these normal office moments, we talk about ideas. Sometimes it's mob ideas that we experimented with years ago, sometimes new ideas, sometimes ideas that were cut, sometimes future ideas that we aren't sure will make it. If all of those ideas were promises being broken, then this individual would have a horrible time just watching their favourite game be developed. To me, the mob vote is voting for one of those ideas to not be trapped as a lost echo in the hallways of Mojang Studios. I'm probably not communicating my point here very well, probably because I need more time to think on it. I think Felix has explained his point in a very simple way. The way he's trying to say it is simply that they have so many ideas that if you think but even they just coming up for these three mobs was an easy task, it wasn't. They have so many ideas that they make up every single day that they think will make the game better, but they're not able to do it because it either won't fit with the game or some people don't agree with it in the workspace. Like maybe they're just not ready to add it to the game yet. There's so many different things they have that they want to add, but they just can't at that moment. Or those ideas just don't fit, or those ideas just don't go anywhere from that point. Now we're going to go on to the modders bit, but modders can add these mobs real fast. I almost forgot to address this, but I really should. Modders have a few benefits on their side. The mobs have already been designed, which I've told people many times myself. A lot of the work done is in the design phase. Once that's done, developers then start picking up tasks that I need in terms of priority. Modders can skip the design phase because we already did it, don't need to worry about the current work priority because they don't work at Mojang, and can get on it with their own time. Modders only work in Java Edition. I'm not sure the community can really understand how much work on two different games with the goal of feature parity slows things down. A Java technique almost never translates into something usable in Bedrock. Quite frequently we hit into problems where we've ran ahead with a solution in Java Edition, where we pretend we have infinite memory, only to be hit by the realities of needing to get the idea work on platforms without infinite memory for Bedrock. Modders are incredibly lucky that they just need to worry about Java Edition. Modders probably aren't working in an organizational structure. It's not just working on a game, it's working on a franchise. Minecraft has a lot going on outside of just features in the game, and employees at Mojang Studios are uniquely responsible for quite a lot of stuff that would shock and surprise anyone expecting a typical software/game company setup. Part of that structure includes communication through code. Where a lot of people touching the code at the same time, modders tend to be working on a code base that's set at a particular level of Minecraft, almost never a latest snapshot, and probably don't have a pull request workflow that has 20 plus people staring at it. Mods don't need to get it right the first time. I've noticed that many mods showcased for impressive speed of development versus Mojang have the label beta on them. A modder can release a mod and then work on the bugs and fixes for post-release patches. Of course we fix bugs post-release, but we slow down development of other features that need priority, so it's better to get it right the first time, and that takes time. Modders have an incentive to make the mob vote mods first. Adding them as fast as possible for anyone else, including Mojang, is a good way to get downloads of your mods or get players to join your server where you host these mods. This is why the modding community is so great. It drives itself to innovate at a pace that cannot be matched by a slow organization. Incentives like we did it before Mojang promotes modding, and it is fantastic. Around the time of the mob votes, I see so much community activity around player created content, including mods. I agree with everything Felix has said here. It's not only the fact that mods have to work in Java Edition, and the fact that Mojang have to do it in both Java, Bedrock, and it's two different coding languages for both of those versions. And before you say just making the same language, it's not that easy, and it's already a bit too late to do that. And Java isn't actually a good thing to be coding in for a game. The mobs have already been designed, everyone's already sees the mobs. As soon as you see it on the screen on a mob vote idea, all you have to do is put up something like Blockbench, and even I, within 10 minutes, could make a model of a crab, armadillo, or the penguin. It's not that hard to actually make the mob in a 3D modeling software as soon as you know what it looks like, which Mojang have to go through several different phases. When dealing with real versions of creatures, they need to figure out what type of crab do we want, where do we want it to, many different things I need to think about. So we're just going to get into Felix's ideas on how to fix a mob vote. And this is Felix's personal opinion, so this is what they think could be done to fix it. And he has said that their colleagues were quite shocked, confused, and frightened because the idea is a little crazy. His crazy idea would be to say practically nothing about the mobs. We show off their design, we show off the environment it is in, and we say if it's a passive mob or a hostile mob, and that's it. The players then vote on the mob that gives them the best vibes. We then go to round 2 of voting. What should this mob do? Does it drop a rare item? Does it give a new block? Can you ride it? And then we go to the final round of voting. What should the mob be called? It's an extreme complex and cumbersome approach, but I think this would end any kind of appearance of imbalance where one mob is an obvious vote versus the others. My favourite part of this is that it moves the design ambiguity back towards our game designers, who would now be given far more room to flesh out the mob after the fact of a vote instead of revealing all our cards at the beginning. I will flesh out this idea a bit more to try and find flaws in it, and more importantly figure out if it's solving anything worthwhile, because another thing I realised, the mob vote is fine, which I agree with. I do agree with Felix. A mob vote is actually fine. It's harmless. It's just a game, and it's a game I've gone for a long time. Any mistakes made can be fixed in an update. So perhaps we don't need to fix or change anything. And I agree. I think the mob vote is fine, but I think everyone's making a bit of a massive fuss over it. When in realism, you don't work at Mojang, and if you think, even if you're a modder, which 99% of modders have even said that it's a lot harder to work for Mojang than just mod it into the game. I'll have this linked down below, and I'll have obviously it all on the screen and stuff. He does talk about some of the previous mob votes, like 2022, Copper Golem, Allays. Like he talks about how the Allay mob vote was unbalanced because they talked about more of what the Allay did than the Copper Golem or the Glare, and just a few other things that you can read through yourself.